Well, we're finally ready to close the door on Shannon Bedore and this chapter of Orange County.
She can finally rest.
Yes, this is the end of her troubles. It's going to be smooth sailing for Shannon after this. Um, the calm, well, I was going to say the storm before the calm.
Yeah.
We had to see the storm that Shannon had to go through, and then finally, you see that she is at peace at the end of this reunion, fully at peace, being hugged. Not to step ahead, but being cherished and loved and hugged, and everyone says, Shannon, you are one of the best people we've ever met in our life. So,
Yes, she finally got her moment. Um, I just wanted to shout out because we were just talking about this. I'm wearing Elphaba green in honor of the witch that we fucked up all the details about on, I guess today. People are listening to it today also, so we
yeah,
recorded it last night. But the episode where we talked about the Wicked Witch and Wicked, and I just was very confused about that there were two and that one got crushed, but the other one got water. And it was confusing because in Wicked, no one is who they are going to be yet. So I'm like, she did have a sister, but she seemed chill.
right. Well,
But
we've never had this before where we're able to react almost in real time to a huge Turtle Time controversy. So we have in the moment, news gathering that's happening now from all the little turtle cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs. But what you said that she gets spritzed with water at the start. That's what I didn't remember that happens in Wizard of Oz. That's how she
yeah,
dies, and she goes, "Oh my God, Dorothy, what? She hates water."
we can't do this again.
Well, anyway, but it makes more sense now that you what you said, which was that that's the Wicked Witch of the West. It starts with her dying by Dorothy pouring water like a bucket of
Right.
water on her head, and then. But then my mystery to me, which we won't get into, but is does it come into play that her sister or that other witch was murdered by Dorothy when the house slammed on her? That's still something I'm
Yeah.
gonna be interested in
Do you
learning
want
about.
a Wicked Part 2 spoiler that our friend gave it to us? To me?
Yeah, is it based off the Broadway play?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
Uh,
and then I have another question. Don't let me forget. I have one more question after this, and then we will end our Wicked talk. But yeah, what is the spoiler?
so in the Wicked movie, or whatever, Wicked in general,
Hmm.
there's like a lion cub, like I
Oh,
told you there's the whole animal element or whatever, but there's like a lion cub that they rescue or that Elphaba rescues, and apparently he becomes the cowardly lion, like you said. I think you said that, maybe.
that makes so much sense to me because when you said animals, like you're like, if animals are involved, and I know one of the main characters, there's Tin Man, um, Scarecrow, not at all animals, but then the lion is definitely an animal. So having him tie in makes perfect sense to me. So I looked on TMZ to see if there was any news, and
Yeah.
that you and I could talk about. There was no news. It said you can leave this site and come back later. There was no news, but it did say that people were freaking out at the Wicked movie, and people were filming their reaction because there was some major thing that was like had people doing the popcorn meme where popcorn was flying out,
Hmm.
and it could have been just paid promotion by TMZ. But I wanted to ask you, just could you spoil it for me? Everybody, 30 seconds. Fast forward. Can you spoil to me what moment in Wicked is causing people to fly out of their seats and stick to the rafters at theaters and popcorn?
I don't know. I remained seated. There was a person in my row though that came really late, and they had a tripod.
Whoa!
Yeah.
To film reactions and stuff.
They just like came like 30 minutes late with like a full filming tripod.
If you did that at the Alamo Draft House, you'd be out on your ass. They would pull you up by your pants and throw you out.
But then they would run by like little cockroaches and give you a Pinot Grigio.
Yes, there's a trade off there. But I'm just saying that filming now people's reactions, you should see. TMZ has this footage. It's people who they see El Baba get spreads with water, and then everyone goes, "Whoa, I didn't expect that to happen." They're saying that there's like some viral moment that's sweeping
Oh.
the nation, but you didn't see anything like that.
Um, it's not coming to me immediately.
All right, well,
Maybe the finale, like there's like the big song at the end. I don't know.
okay. All right. Well, if there's a moment in Wicked that blows everybody's hair back, let me know because I don't think I'm going to be seeing it for a while.
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like I undersold it yesterday. I think I needed to like drink first. I went in raw, and it's good. It's like if you like Wicked, you'll like it.
You said it was good. I didn't think you
Yeah,
undersold. You
I
said
felt
it
like I
was
was
really good.
grouchy or
No,
something.
you said it was really good. I was expecting it to be so much worse. I
And
mean,
then
it
I
looks
got a
horrible.
DM that apparently like a lot of the effects are practical, like they painted a million poppies or whatever. So egg on my face yet again.
Wow, because you kept saying CGI, CGI.
I mean, it
Um,
definitely there's her like ripping on a broom that's like fully CGI'd, but um I don't know. I can't articulate. I need someone smarter than me that knows about cameras and lights to explain why I didn't like how it looked.
sure.
You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. Of course. You didn't like how it looked aesthetically.
Yeah.
Um, well, all right. Well, it seems like Wicked Fever is coming to an end. We had 2 episodes about it on Turtle Time, but I think that's for the most part, it's gonna die here today.
Yeah.
Just like the
On
Wicked Witch of the
opening
West at
day.
the end. What'd you say?
On its opening day. It's gonna make
Yeah.
like $1 billion.
Do you think?
Yes.
Okay. People need to see a movie, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's perfect because it's like for the full age range. Like it is for children, but it's also very much for millennials because it's nostalgic for the theater geeks.
hmm Do you think people are going to be going to Gladiator 2 as well?
Yeah, but Wicked will make more.
Okay. All right, that's the official Amy box office prediction. I concur completely with it. I think Wicked's going to sweep at the box office and make a lot of money. Okay. The end of
All
Wicked
right.
chat, and now on to what we are here to talk about today, which is Amy and I did not talk about part 2 of the OC reunion. I don't know what the hell we were thinking. But then last night, 2 nights ago, whenever it was, OC finally concluded. Part 3 came out into the world, and Amy and I are going to talk about both parts of the OC reunion. A little bit, probably less of part 2, because not a lot happens. And then part 3 we will get into. So this is the definitive OC edition of Turtle Time. And closing out this is the end of what, season 18 of Orange County? We won't talk about Orange County for another year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So part two, I mean, we'll go through, but we're still dealing with the gen of it all, the Ryan stuff. They show footage of Matt hiding from the bookie. And
I want to ask about that.
yeah,
Like, I mean, just because someone might possibly get, FBI raided and then put him in the back of an armored truck or whatever, he's not going to be pulled into the FBI truck with him. You know what I mean? It's like you're not.
maybe he did something.
Matt,
Maybe he did some golf bets.
Katie's husband, Matt.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just saying, like, like, if I was at a party and I knew someone was, on the FBI's most wanted list and I was like hanging out with them, I wouldn't necessarily think that, I'm going to be implicated just for going to one filmed party with them.
Yeah. No. Uh, and then we got the full Tamra walk back.
Yes.
She just had to eat total shit. She was like, I butchered everything I said on Watch What Happens Live. Like, Andy started to be like, you shouldn't say that. And I was like, why? Like, why are you telling me what to say? And then he was like, I mean, you shouldn't bring up his name, like, with these allegations. And she was like, I didn't say his name. And they were like, yeah, you did.
Yeah. She said she butchered it. She was meant to have this great comeback. It was, my CBD business makes more than the money that was stolen from that Dodger baseball player. But then she added Ryan's name in there, and she goes, "What the hell was I doing?" Which, it's kind of funny to just be like, "I completely misspoke, so you can't sue me, for that."
Right.
And then she goes, "And then one other bad thing I did was that I shouldn't have said his house was raided by the FBI. That didn't happen." So,
Yeah.
getting ahead of this, don't sue me, please. Don't sue me. I misspoke, and I shouldn't have said that thing, and she shouldn't have worn that FBI hat, probably, as well.
Right. And then she goes back and forth and she's like, well, Ryan did come after Eddie. And they show a screenshot of a post where Ryan is like, why don't we talk about their marriage? #beard.
Yeah. #beard with a capital B, if I remember. Um, Tamara said, yeah, she goes, we didn't like that kind of stuff. So we went into this season being really mad at Ryan, and that kind of had a runoff effect where, you were the target of our ire as well.
Right. And then Jen is like not going to let it rest. She's going to come for Tamara. She has so much energy to finally defend herself. She's like, well, were you faithful to your ex-husband? Because like, does Eddie question what you're up to? Because I mean, she was implying like cheated on, what's his name? And
Simon?
Simon, yeah. And then she's like, why would you say that? And then Tamara again says she was totally plastered that night when she brought up the FBI. She doesn't remember shit. And Jen's like, yeah, that night, where did Eddie sleep? Because I heard he didn't sleep in your bed, which I'm like, where did you hear that? Like,
Yeah.
where would you know that?
Yeah. Yes. And it's true. Eddie slept, I think, outside in the yard because he was so upset with Tamara's drunken behavior. But I didn't really think that it was a huge gotcha that Jen thought it was. Like, who cares? I
Yeah,
mean,
like, thought
like
he was mad at
he,
you. Like,
he was mad at you and you slept in a different bed. Like, who know? If you, who knows how many times people sleep
yeah.
apart sometimes when they're
I
mad
just
at each
love
other.
it's like implied that all Orange County homes have a casita. Like she
Oh
was like,
yeah.
I heard he slept in the casita, and she's like, my daughter sleeps in the casita.
Yes. Yeah, yep. And then Jen goes, I think Heather is maybe defending Tamara for a second. And Jen, I thought this was kind of interesting. She goes, Heather, how the hell are you still friends with Tamara or something like that,
Yeah,
clarifying. I even asked you, this is really, truly your friend, Tamara, after how horrible Tamara had been to Heather last season. And Heather, she says, off camera, said, Tamara is a historical friend,
yeah,
not a major friend, someone that I never heard that term before. Someone that
yeah.
just there's just longevity attached to them.
Uh-huh.
And then Heather goes, I would never in my life say the term historical friend. And I was like, you sound exactly like the
Well,
person that would
first
say it were.
she goes, well, she is a historical friend, and then like 1 minute later, she's like, I don't talk like that.
It's like, Heather, we know how you talk. You would
I
say
also
something
don't
like
think
that.
it's that insulting.
Yeah, I mean Tamara was had a bee in her bonnet about it. She was kind of like making a big stink, but I was just like, I mean, you have to know that about face that Heather took was pretty huge after how horrible she was to you last
Yeah,
season. I really do think that Heather realized that it's just better to have Tamara on your good side.
yeah, for sure. They also show that because like everyone basically agrees. They're like, Tamara, you know that you go a little too far, and she's like, we all do, and they're like, no, you're worse.
Yes.
And even Andy is like, don't be defensive about it if you think that that's true. And she's like, all right, fine. And Andy's like, aren't you starting therapy tomorrow? And she's like, yeah, Monday. And he's like, yeah, tomorrow. And she's like, oh shit.
Yes. We find out that she was wrong, though, about that date. When they filmed that 36 hours later thing, they say, Tamara goes, I got the date wrong of my therapy. So the entire time she was talking about Monday therapy was
Oh,
wrong.
got it. Yeah, I was wondering on the timeline because we saw that news later that on her first day of therapy, they diagnosed her as on the spectrum. And I was like, was that the day after the reunion?
Yeah.
Um, and then we get to Jen's poor spending, like money montage. Emily sort of is like, you know what? I am a bitch about this because my mom was so helpless in that department and it really
Yeah.
triggers me from my childhood, which I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah. Emily needed to justify that, though. She was
Yeah.
overboard with how she treated Jen. I was not interested at all in any of the Jen financial stuff. I don't know why. I just think it fizzled out and I don't care. And I assume Jen is not spending money she doesn't have. You know what I mean? I just never really bought into it, and it was like 5 minutes of the reunion, and then it was over. The dress
Yeah.
thing, like Ryan
Yeah.
bought that $2,000 dress for the tea party, all
Yeah.
that shit.
Which is why I'm like, yet again, Katie is flubbing what
Yeah,
matters. She then tries to pull Jen aside and be like, didn't you think that was so mean girl that
yeah,
Heather looked at the price tag or whatever? I'm like, that's the most like low level housewives bullshit I've ever heard in my life. Like, who cares?
yeah. Seriously, a 2 out of 10 on what kind of conflict you could bring to the show. Katie has decided to dig in on the anti-Heather stance, and it's completely unwarranted.
Yeah.
I mean, all that happened is you came in bringing in that TMZ story. Heather treated you coldly, I would say, but gave you some opportunities to, patch this friendship up. Katie kind of just kept ruining it. Then she had the babysitter flub, and it's like Heather is just not going to be your friend after all of that sort of chaos you were bringing. And then Katie's like, well, now I'm going to make it my mission to be like, Heather is actually horrible, and Heather is not horrible. I'm just going to say my opinion. It's just kind of hard to make Heather look really, really bad because she doesn't very often. But it leads into my favorite moment, the biggest bombshell for me, unless you wanted to say anything else, but Andy calls it the babysitter's flub, a play on the babysitter's club. And I was like, what the hell happened here? I was very interested in this. And he goes, do Sophia and Kylie still talk? The daughters.
Yeah.
And we get it revealed that Sophie, is that her name? Sophie, right?
Sophia.
Oh God. Sophia tried to text Kylie multiple times, and Kylie was leaving her on red. The friendship completely died on the vine. Yeah. And then it leads into the babysitter shit. The he said, she said, what did the kids say? Yeah. Whole mess. And I will say, it looks very bad for the Katie and Kylie side of this. Yeah. Once they add in all the...
Yeah, my main takeaway is that she kind of like throws her daughter under the bus ultimately, which I don't know if I've ever seen before.
I think that Kylie, no offense, Kylie's she's a Villa Rosa VIP. She's a major Turtle Time watcher. I think that she loved her mom being on this show. She was getting bits and pieces. She was telling her mom advice. She loved being in this universe, even though you don't see her very much at all. She tried to have her own moment where she stirred up a bunch of shit with Emily and Shane's kids, which is horrible. She probably prompted that conversation. And then when her mom was being mistreated by Heather, which that's even a stretch. Heather was just not warm to her. She went on a TikTok Gen Z. I don't know if she's Gen Z, but her kind of way of retaliating, which is to do that lip sync video doing a lip sync of that really horrible soundbite, which is like, I
like my suitcase.
She did a full-blown, I like my suitcase, making fun of the fact that Heather was packing her bags in that packing peanuts. And you remember folding her... Yeah, she made fun of her completely by going on the full-blown "I love my suitcase" craze that TikTok is on now, and I was just like, "Oh, that's case closed, Your Honor." Kylie was so invested in her mom's trajectory on this show that she stirred up shit purposefully with Emily and Shane's kids, which is egregious. You should not do that. And you're hearing your mom is flubbing and flopping around like a fish this season, so you're accusing all of the other housewives of being bitches or whatever she said. I was like, you're too invested. I don't believe you now at all. And Katie even admits, she goes, did my daughter lie to me? It's possible.
Yeah, I liked how Andy was like, wait, like, who cares? Don't you guys talk in front of your kids? Like, it felt like he was gonna say, like, I talk shit in front of my kids. Yeah. Like, who cares? And they're all like, no, never. And Emily's like, you must not know Shane Simpson, because when our little kid was like, is Heather mean? Because Kylie said some shit or whatever, that he was like, she's fired. We're not going to tell anyone about this. Which I was like, that's like so extreme. Like, they really must have felt intuitively that there was something nasty afoot, because I mean, I guess you would be like, why was the babysitter talking to my son about another housewife, Totally.
Yeah, he goes, take your $5 and leave. No, totally. Emily's reaction to this is absolutely perfect. She's like, I tried to nip this in the bud. I didn't even bring Kylie into this. I knew this was completely fake. You're also jeopardizing my relationship with Heather. And Katie is just sitting there, and she is going, I'm sorry.
She got so fucked.
And even all the other housewives are like, we never let our kids do that. Shannon was even yelling at Katie, and she's not even that mad at Katie.
One by one, they were like, even Tamara's like, even Sophia thought it was disturbing or
Yeah.
like disgusting, and
Sophia barfed when she saw it.
then like Shannon's like, if my kids did that, I'd be like, take that shit down right fucking now.
And when you
Jen is like, if my daughter did that, she would never get away with. Like they each went by one, and were like, my kid would never.
Yes, and those kids have had much more opportunities to capitalize on their parents' fame and notoriety, and they have all refused the call to get in the middle of the drama of these cast members. So
Yeah.
it was way too much that Kylie entered into the arena early, and that's the great context that reunions provide. Because I would have never known what the hell Kylie was doing on TikTok.
Totally. And Heather's like, why didn't you at the least text the group and say, like, sorry, guys, I told her to take it down, like, bad taste, like, didn't know she was going to do that. And she's like, I didn't think to do that. And I'm like, why not?
Yeah, why the hell not? And Emily goes, you could tell that she was so your daughter when she was doing that TikTok. That is emblematic of everything about you that was permeating that video.
Yeah. And then Andy's like, all right, I'm sick of this. We've beaten this dead horse or whatever. And Heather's like, I could beat it some more.
I could have beaten it some more too to that. I wanted to hear that was the most interesting thing, one of the most interesting things to me this season. Besides TMZ Disneyland paparazzi gate, but
I like
I could have
at the very end, like under her breath, Katie whispers, I think, to Jen, she's like, I told Kylie I'm gonna take all this heat for your stupidity. I'm like, oh shit, Kylie's in trouble.
Yeah, Kylie wanted a piece of it too badly. She wanted to be
You
in
think
the
Katie will be back?
I that's a great question. There's no true reason based off her merit, I think, that there should be a second season, but I feel like there is so much potential for second season to be the grower season for someone and for them to know how to handle things better, and there's more entrenched and established relationships there, even though she's kind of on the outs. She just has Alexis and Jen Pedranti as her alliances, so it's not looking good.
Yeah.
But I don't doubt that Bravo would at least give her one more shot, hopefully. And maybe they would address all of that part one shit that we learned about. You know, get a little bit more into that.
Yeah. Grower, not a shower.
Grower, not a shower. Yes, that is my official analysis of Katie.
Okay, then we get the shit show that is Alexis entering. They're immediately like, she's like, I've Jesus Jugs has grown on me. Like, I think it's fine. And I'm like, okay.
Of course she likes it.
I mean, it's like not that many housewives have a, what do you call that? Like a nom de plume. Like
yeah, what is that called? A nom de plume. Who else? Yeah, who else has one?
Nickname. OG
Shannon.
of the OC.
Shannon has the Duchess of Corona Del Mar. That's a new one, I think.
Yeah. Fancy Pants.
For Heather. Yeah, of course.
The Countess, but that's like actually her name.
Yeah, but that definitely counts as a nom de plume.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Not a lot of get into upper sanctum, so that was good.
Yeah. She gives an update up top that she will not be living with John because his place is small, and with her kids and everything, they'll be living separately.
Total bachelor pad, she says.
Totally.
She says PlayStation 5s, a bong,
Ferragamo shoes.
Sublime poster, Ferragamo shoes. I also liked this. Andy gives her the like, you know, nice, let's start good or whatever. He goes, so you're engaged to Johnny J now, you know, what's that like or whatever. And Alexis tells this story that she thought was endearing and I thought it was really bad. She goes, well, I texted everybody on the group family chat just the photo of me with the ring. And she goes, my son's first response was, what the hell? Call me now. And then was really upset that John didn't ask his permission to marry his mom. And she goes, it was just so cute. And I was like, that's a horrible story.
Yeah, it was like when Penelope Disick cried when Courtney, sorry. I'm like my mom. I'm like, Amy, Jenny. I'm like, Chloe, Kim, Courtney, Kylie. Anyways.
Who's Penelope? Penelope Disick is Scotty's daughter.
Courtney called, like, FaceTimed when, I guess she didn't bring her kids to the engagement because it was like awkward with Scott or whatever. And then they FaceTimed her daughter and she immediately started sobbing and it was really awkward and sad because they're like, you're like, oh, this is like some dark shit. Like,
Yeah. That's when so she didn't make her a part of the Travis Travis thing.
Yeah.
Damn, Penelope
Yeah.
did that.
But I think his like goth kids were there, like his like teenage kids.
I remember watching that wedding.
Yeah. What is the meme? Who's sang at my wedding? Andrea Bocelli.
Oh, did that person sing there at it?
Yes.
It was Blink-182, I think, too, right?
Yes, and Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh my God, cool. Oh my God. That's an amazing lineup. We also found out, Alexis says, I'm so glad I got this show in my life. I was sinking into the dirt without anything to do. And so I'm so glad to be a part of this show now. And then we also learned, because they immediately start getting into the Shannon, part of this and the lawsuit and stuff, we find out that it was that Johnny J, in order to get that $75K, had to sign a mutual non-disparagement clause, which is completely new from anything we have heard before. Before, it was like Johnny J must not speak ill of Shannon for the rest of his life. Even if he wants to talk shit at a dinner party or at the Quiet Woman, he cannot disparage her. No, in fact, mutual non-disparagement, that means Shannon can never talk shit about him too, and she was willing to sign that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes it there. It's just like irrefutable that he's just a piece of shit asshole that wanted to do this on camera. Like, it absolutely could have been taken care of previously or in a way more tidy manner.
Yeah. And they also, they go, they talk about the Jim Bellino lawsuit. And we finally find out what it was. I never understood what they were being so disparaging about. And then Alexis, is so funny to bring it up again, the thing that was accused and disparaging about your husband. She goes, Shannon was out there telling everyone that I allow people to break their necks at my trampoline parks.
Yeah.
And it's like, so that's what Jim Bellino got pissed off about. Apparently Tamra and Shannon were speculating that at Jim's trampoline parks, he was allowing people to, jump as high as they could and then break their necks if they wanted to at the park.
I don't know if it's just because I think Andy just is a normal human being and anyone would take Shannon's side, but I think he also probably feels bad for making Shannon go through this. But throughout the reunion, when Alexis is on the stage, it's very clear that Andy is protecting Shannon. And at one point when the trampoline stuff comes up, Shannon's like, I didn't say that. Like, that's not what I said. And Andy's like, don't say anything again. Like, if you're getting sued, don't talk about it again. And she's like, I won the case. Like,
yeah.
I was cleared. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. And he's like, oh, you won? Haha. Like, okay, never mind. Which I'm like, he didn't know that she won.
What he has to keep up with in this universe, true. Yeah.
Oh, and this is where I want to mention that Shannon goes, she honestly, I was proud of how she didn't crumble the whole time. She was, emotional at times, but I can imagine a world where you just feel so fucked over by this whole scenario and just want to go inward and be never just go mute or be or storm off or whatever. And she's funny throughout. She has jokes, she has evidence. She's really did a good job. And she, she did the line that was in the trailer and stuff where she's like, how long did you rehearse There's the Door, Shannon Bador, when there was no door? And then they show us, by the way, so many unseen footages in this that they show, especially with Alexis. I feel like they cut all her shit. But there was her on the way to that party saying it in the car. And then she said it again an hour later.
I loved when Shannon said that, and everybody laughs. It's a huge moment. But in Alexis's defense, there was a door just further away than you would want it to be when you're doing a really cool comeback like that.
She didn't know they were going to end up outside.
Yeah, but still there was a door. It's just
there's always a door.
Yeah. I'm just saying. So but it is true. Shannon's main point stands that it was rehearsed, and we said that at the time.
Yeah.
She practiced that with Johnny J, and then I think we segue nicely into part 3 of the reunion right about here, right?
Yeah, because the very end of it is where the next one starts, and this is where Alexis starts to get like quite dirty, where Shannon gives some context that I guess her and Johnny J ran into John Bellino at the Quiet Woman,
Jimmy B.
Jimmy B, and he was giving them shit and was like, "I'm gonna sue the shit out of you. Like, come over here." And the men started to be like, "You want to take this outside?"
He goes,
And
"Get your ass out of that seat at the Quiet Woman and come with me outside." And Johnny J goes, "What are you, 10 years old?"
yeah, and Shannon apparently slammed her plate down and was like, "I will never settle with you, asshole."
Yes, because of Jim Bellino's belligerence and aggressive behavior. Shannon says, "I'm not settling." And Alexis is like, "Well, you should have settled with him because it cost you $500,000. But it's like, it's about the point. If you didn't disparage this person and you don't think that you were saying the breaking neck trampoline park thing, then I guess you have to go to the mattresses about it.
Yeah.
And, it's good.
Imagine having like 2 espresso martinis at the Quiet Woman and looking over and seeing Shannon screaming at Jim Bellino. I would be like ascending to heaven.
I was just thinking of that. I was like, we have to go to the Quiet Woman, and just every month you and I have a standing appointment, and we just get to see whatever runoff comes in. When Kelly Dodd comes in, when who else would be there? Yeah, Johnny J, obviously.
Well, it's like 1 year at, I want to say it was Pride. But it was like they weren't filming, or at least what I saw, they weren't filming. It was like Sheena in an argument with that guy Adam on the street, and she was like yelling at him. And I just walked by and I was like, it's just happening all around us all the time.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, at the Pride I went to when I went to SUR, Sheena was kissing Dana, and I didn't even know who Dana was.
Oh, yeah.
Sheena was just kissing Dana. I was like, who the hell is this that Sheena's like kissing, dancing on a table? And then when I watched the season, I was like, whoa, you guys were mortal enemies up until that point at Pride when you buried the hatchet, and then they were kissing right after.
Wow.
So it was like extra context.
What do they call that? Secrets revealed.
Total secrets revealed.
So yeah, Alexis is being a real douchebag, saying, it wasn't smart because you lost 500,000, and Andy is like, well, she won, and Shannon's like, I didn't do anything wrong, I did not defame him, and then Tamra chimes in finally and is like, she did not defame him, which I really don't understand how Tamra justifies not being pissed off at Alexis and like turning on Shannon when she literally got sued at the same time for the same thing.
Yeah, because it's a very clear arc for Tamra to have, and she doesn't allow any evidence that would dispel her of what she wants to do this season, which is to be anti-Shannon, anti-drinking, anti-Shannon needs to, curb her alcoholism or whatever, and the Alexis stuff is just inconvenient to that clear narrative that she wants to have. But then Tamra, by the end of this, Tamra gets away with absolutely everything. It is wild to watch.
Totally. She's like Trump.
Yeah.
So Shannon is like, just so you know, literally everyone on this couch in this room said they could never handle what you have put me through on this show. And Alexis is like, they've said the same thing to me too. They've said that they can't imagine how hard this is for me. And she's like, but you chose this. Like, you chose to come on the show. And she's like, you chose too. You didn't have to sign your contract. And it's like, oh yeah, Shannon's going to quit the show because you fucking came on board. Like, shut up.
Right. Yeah.
And she's like, this is where they get into Shannon's like, I've been here 10 years. I took your job and I'm still here and you're just a friend of.
Yeah, that was awesome. Did Alexis was Alexis and Shannon had no crossover? Alexis was fired and then Shannon was hired? Because I can't imagine that. Yeah. That's cool. What a success story for Shannon. 10 years.
Yeah.
And then
Alexis is like, I've been on television for 15 years on 5 different shows or whatever. I'm like, does like the morning news that we saw on old OC, does that count?
I looked it up, and it is actually 5 shows. Like I looked up her IMDb and it's exactly 5 shows. Like she was in a General Hospital episode. She was in a People TV series. She did a thing called Spirit Fashion Show. And then there's Real Housewives of Orange County. So 5 shows.
I think I saw the soap opera clip, and she's on the TV as a newscaster on a soap opera.
Yep. Yeah. Then there one great thing, a sort of clarifying moment is, as Alexis said, I had to get on this show to repair Johnny J's wonderful name, the beautiful John Jansen legacy and name. And she's like, and Shannon was throwing that shit through the mud. And Andy, even everyone has to correct and say, Shannon never talked shit about Johnny J before this season, really.
Yeah.
And in the reunion last year, Shannon was getting shit for sticking up for John Jansen. She stuck up for John Jansen when he was screaming at Gina at the top of his lungs in that one scene that they always show. Yeah. Up until this point, I had never heard one bad word that Shannon was saying about Johnny J. Yeah. So it kind of...
I have a question about this. So, Alexis is like, when I started Googling John, when I fell in love with him, the internet was just filled with horrible things that Shannon had said or whatever. And then they show the clip of Gina bringing up that Johnny J was mean about her or whatever. And Alexis says that he was hangry that night. And I'm like, didn't Shannon say that?
Yes.
Why didn't they roll that clip? That would have been amazing side by side, that like that's the narrative that his women use to defend him. Because I'm like, she said that about him. I remember.
Yes, she did. And I thought the same thing. How hungry was John Jansen when he screamed at Gina that he's telling everyone in the world how hungry he was? I mean, I've been hungry before. I've skipped maybe 2 meals in my life, and I get hungry at the end of the day. But I couldn't imagine flying off the handle like that, screaming and cursing.
I was just like waiting. Like I was like, roll the clip.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Shannon,
hilarious that both of his women were like, he was hungry.
I think Shannon said he was hungry this season, and I was shocked that she defended him for that.
Yes, she kind of like looked down and she was like, well, he hadn't eaten that day. Like I explicitly remember it because I think it's very funny.
There's a little bit of parsing the finances here, and I'll just summarize it as succinctly as I can. Shannon says, and I believe her, that for the first half of the relationship, she paid for the majority of shit in their relationship. Yeah. So she was baffled that at some point in their relationship, even when things were bad, that Johnny J would have the nerve to ask for $75K back. What Alexis contends is that never happened, that there were gifts in the meantime, but I kind of defer to Shannon. It sounds like Johnny J got a windfall of cash when he sold some company. He got like 5% of a company, and maybe that's when he became the loan giver to Shannon when Shannon was having financial issues. Yeah. So there's a little bit of parsing there, and then Alexis also is not getting. I don't think she's getting the full story about the relationship timeline, because she's saying like, you guys broke up the day after Thanksgiving in 2022, and you never talked again or whatever, and you were just friends with benefits after that. And then everybody's like, what about the time they went to Disneyland? And what about the time they went to the Family Feud? And you can't call it friends of benefits if you dated someone for 4 years and then they continued to sleep together for months at a time. It's not friends of benefits. So it sounds like Alexis didn't hear the full story from Johnny J. And even she didn't know, it seems, that Johnny J took care of Shannon after the DUI for 10 days when she was nursing her head back after bleeding, after drunk driving. And so Alexis was kind of just stunned into silence. Like she had not been getting the full scope of that relationship.
She's so stupid. Like, it's so embarrassing to watch her trying to defend this freak man. And it's like, obviously, it's just weird that she's trying to discredit someone that was with him for 5 years. Cause I'm like, regardless of anything, he dated her for 5 years. Like, that's a fact.
And logically, you just have to say that Shannon knows Johnny J more than Alexis in every way. She's seen more of him throughout his life. She knows the details of that corporation that got sold more than Alexis does. So it's kind of ridiculous for Alexis to dispute and make it seem like, the Shannon era never existed, and it's
Yeah.
all about Alexis now.
Did you like the internet conspiracy theory that they put lemons in a bowl for their engagement photo?
I liked that. It was because it was exactly almost 9 lemons, and then there was 2 Ferragamo shoes, sort of dunked into the lemon bowl, and it's like, whoa, you're referencing 2 things that Shannon talked about. There's a little bit of Alexis on Below Deck in the extended edition. I didn't really care about that. Did you watch the uncensored
I
version?
watched it on regular TV.
Alexis was just making out with somebody on Below Deck, and it was kind of shocking. But then she said that relationship fizzled out. It was kind of in between Big Jim and Johnny J. But then this question was the best question I've ever heard in my life. It really gets to the root of a question I had all season. Someone asks, I don't know who asked this, but they said, what exactly is Shannon doing to John Jansen that is making him look so bad? And I was like, that is so true. What is Johnny J trying to stop? Like, he doesn't look that bad. I mean, the fact that who cares that he was paid for by Shannon, who presumably has a lot of money. I would never care that someone was saying they paid for a lot at the beginning of a relationship. And then when Alexis is asked that question point blank, she says, it's about the fact that she denied that it was a loan. That's what Johnny J absolutely hates, and that she paid for everything in the first half of the relationship. So it really is just whittled down to that. John Jansen can't stand that there is this accusation out there that he didn't pay his fair share at every point of this relationship. That is so ridiculous to me that is the extent of the defamation that Shannon has done to him. Yeah.
And also these like clips that they show throughout from that interview, that it really looks like me and Jimmy were saying, it looked like a disgraced congressman or something with his wife doing a statement where he's like, I did not have relations with like the wife sitting by his side. Like, it's so weird. And he comes off like such an animal. That's where he says, I was single for a year after dating Shannon, which like just literally doesn't make sense. Even as a viewer, you're like, no.
Yeah. Well, I agree that he looks like a disgraced senator. But here's where, this is controversial, but I'm just going to say it. I do think the $75,000 was presented as a loan. Because even though all of the financial help that Shannon gave to Johnny J, which I admit is most likely true, she paid for absolutely everything. I think when Shannon landed on hardships and Johnny J's ship came in with finances, I believe him when he says that money was given to her as a loan because their relationship was so volatile. I don't know if it matters. I don't think, but I just want to set the record straight that I do think that there is a world in which that is true. And the promissory note was sent after, and he did ask for that to be given back to him. I believe that part of it, but nothing accounts or rises to what he did with that in terms of suing her for defamation and trying to ruin her life and extorting her with those videos. But I do think that it actually was presented as a loan. I just believe that part of it.
Well, yeah, I believe, Shannon, that they were messy about that. Like, she asked him for money, he agreed. Then he sent her the promissory note, which Emily is like, you cannot send a promissory note after the fact because then everyone could just send that after everything and be like,
I'd be doing it all the time. Yeah, I'd be doing it all the time. But I'm even going a step further. I don't know why, because I have to be honest. I think it was presented to Shannon, and Shannon's, not hubris, but Shannon's the gall of Johnny J to ask for money back when she had blown so much cash on him, almost $350,000 at the start of the relationship, was a pill too hard for her to swallow, and a little bit of her pride stopped her from wanting to give John Jansen that money. And then the way he handled it made her even more aggrieved, which she kind of gave us a little peek into that psychological facet of hers when she talked about how Jim Bellino treated her. She's like, I will stand against this because of your disreputable behavior. So I agree with Johnny J on that, but I don't agree with anything about how he handled it. And he should have just let that $75,000 go to the wind. I would have.
Yeah.
If I ever have $75,000 in my life.
Settled with her immediately when she offered to pay it.
Yes.
And then, yeah, so then they ask him about the videos. He is like, it was never my intent for anyone to see them. It was a traumatic night for me and my adult children. And he's like, the only person I would ever show those videos to is Shannon herself. Because if you want to see a monster, look who was on those tapes.
Okay. And you're right. The way he says it, it's like there were cue cards in front of him and he has to get his story straight. Unfortunately, though, given what I know about what is in this video, which everyone sort of admits, it's true that you show that to anybody and Shannon will look like an absolute drunken monster. Here's what I think happened in the tape, allegedly. Shannon pulls up, drunk as hell, at the house. Shannon gets out. She punches Johnny J right in the face. They scream and fight. Then Shannon says, I'm not leaving my car here. We're fighting. There's 2 adult children there that are witnessing this whole thing. Shannon peels out of the house. She almost hits one of John Jansen's daughters as she peels out. And then she drives about less than, 2 minutes and then crashes into a house nearby.
Yeah.
So that's alleged. That's what I think is in this video. So from Johnny J's
perspective, together, I think. Like, they were already fighting at his house or whatever, and then she tried to leave, yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So she didn't pull in. So she was drunk as hell at his house. It got physical and verbal. There were witnesses there, the children, because we've heard that reference twice. As Shannon started to peel out, I assume the piece of the information that Katie was trying to convey is that she almost hit one of her daughters, which that's kind of like, who knows what that would actually look like? Like, if she's speeding away, did she really come close to hitting someone? But what Shannon admits at the end is that she did. I think she's admitting that she punched John Jansen in
yeah, but
face.
It's like, what is your intention by blackmailing her with video footage?
Well, that.
You're suing her for a loan.
Right.
That's it.
Right. I'm not saying anything he's doing is good. I'm just saying let's always keep in mind what Shannon actually did.
I think that they were in a nasty ass relationship. I think he treated her like absolute shit. I think he strung her along a lot of the time. I think she was a wreck. She obviously, drinking and driving is horrible. I believe that she probably punched him or whatever.
And almost hit his daughter as she was pulling out.
No, I don't think we know what she did. Like, she got arrested. Like, we know what she did. Like, I don't need the footage to paint further detail about the fact that she crashed into a brick wall. Like, I imagine that it was a horrible and nasty situation.
But from Johnny J's,
as an adult man, what are you doing to someone that you dated for that long? Like, what are you trying to do to this person and why?
Clear your name, which has not been dragged through the mud. I already said. I don't think that
he's completely full of fucking shit. It's his last pawn to play.
But there is a world in which Johnny J has access to a video that shows this behavior, and if it did see the light of day, I think everyone.
No one would.
Really? Okay. Well, but that kind of segues into what I think that 36 hours conversation was all about. We don't have to step ahead. If you don't want to, if there's anything you want to talk about before they get to that.
It's just Alexis is trying to play so dumb about the videos. She's like, I wasn't supposed to bring them up. I didn't mean to bring them up. And then she's like, the videos have nothing to do with the lawsuit, which I'm like, of course they do, because the non-disparagement agreement is part of it that he refused to sign, and he's holding these over her head. So basically, you better pay me to get this chapter done with. Otherwise, I'm going to make the world think that you're a disgusting mess with this.
So the extortion part is really what. Yeah, it's dirt. It's dirty. It's dirty.
Tabloid. It's any respectable person would not do that.
You're right. I guess for me though, I just have to still always in my head keep the piece of what Shannon did that night. And if it wasn't Johnny J on the other end, let's say it was, who's a sympathetic house husband.
Shane.
Shane, oh my God, could you imagine if this happened to Shane? Terry, if Heather was drunk and Terry goes, please, Heather, don't drink so much champagne. You turn into a complete monster. And she goes, shut the fuck up, Terry. She socks him in the face and then she drives away and almost runs over one of her children.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's your fucking business. Like, it would be like,
It's our business too, though, isn't it?
I mean, it was public news that she crashed into a retaining wall or whatever. I'm just saying, like, if Terry and Heather broke up, neither of them would ever in a fucking million years release a tape of the other being nasty. Like, that's just like fucking low. It's
Yeah,
just
they barely even could disagree with each other in Terry's surgery room for 1 second without saying, cut the cameras off. Well, here I want to say, because we're right at the point where we go to this 36 hours later thing. And I have to say what I think this was for, because I didn't understand what the hell was going on, of why they rolled the cameras back up. I was like, what is happening? This makes no sense.
Yeah.
And I think this whole scene was tacked on to get ahead of, if the non-disparagement clause was not signed and it was not settled, that we would be seeing the video at the same time that part 3 was released. And Shannon would look like an absolute fucking monster. No matter what you think of anything about this, we would see horrendous footage, and this was to get ahead of that in case that was the reality. That's what I think this entire thing, I think they wanted to disparage Johnny J one last time, or at least let the truth be known one last time about Johnny J's involvement, and then they wanted to have a get ahead of this news cycle by showing Shannon's real-time reaction to what's on that what is going to be there on that video, and what she would have said if we were still filming when that video comes out.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the reason
that
for
makes
this?
sense, because otherwise I was like, did we really need to pick up cameras again for this? And also, why, I don't really understand why they wouldn't have brought it up earlier. So obviously they had a new reason where they were like, oh shit, we should have said this before.
And it makes sense, because doesn't make any sense that Heather goes, oh, I wrote in my notes on my phone, I was going to bring up that Johnny J heard the crash after the finale party. I just didn't say it. So let's all gather around together here, and we're going to add this new tidbit that no one really, cares about. It's not pickup cameras worthy that Johnny J heard the crash. So I think that was all just a fake pretense to allow Shannon to get her side of things out there in case the video comes out.
Yeah. I will say, by the end of the reunion, basically everyone was like, wow, those Johnny J videos sucked. He fucking sucks. Like, everyone's like, damn, Shannon, he blows. Like, Emily's like, Alexis is a garbage monster. Like, everyone is like, sorry, girl, that was horrible. Like, everyone's starting to have to defend their relationship. Like, Tamara's like, no, Alexis has another side. Jen is like, it's hard to be in the middle. I told her she should drop the suit. Like, it's sort of like everyone's like, justify yourself now.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it was almost like just 10 minutes of the end of the reunion were just dedicated to rallying around Shannon for how hard of a season she had, which is true, no matter what. But what the 36 hours things picked up, just so we have it on the record, Heather says, after the finale party, we all went out. And I was like, wow, you went out with Johnny J and Alexis to a steak dinner with Tamara and Eddie and Terry and everybody. And then Heather goes, and at that night, I don't know why the hell I forgot this for 7 months, but Johnny J said, oh yeah, I heard the crash. And then my adult daughter said, don't chase after her, Dad. She's obviously a drunken mess and she just punched you in the face. Don't go after her now.
Did they
and then
think
they heard
he was like dead? Like,
well, you hear a car
on a human level, kind of insane.
I agree. The adult daughter holding him back sounds like an excuse, because no matter where I was, if I had just gotten in a fight with my significant other and I knew they were driving drunk as hell and then I heard them crash, you got to run over there. So not good for the morality of Johnny J at all. But you kind of wonder at this point, I was going, okay, yeah, we already kind of presented into evidence that Johnny J might have heard the crash. It's not worthy of this. And then they start to fully shift. And I was like, oh, this is what this scene is about. And Gina kind of goes, you were drunk that night. Everybody makes bad decisions when they're drunk. You were drunk. And then I think Emily goes, yeah, it was an isolated incident. Everybody does shitty stuff. And Heather was like, and then Shannon goes, yeah, but what if what I did that night was so bad, even though I don't remember it? And then Tamara goes, he said you hit him. And she goes, what? I have heard.
Why do you think that whispering isn't picked up when you're both mic'd?
It's to allow this conversation to happen. It was Tamara doing a good job of making it seem like she was trying to keep this off camera, but allowing Shannon to have a real-time reaction to the fact that she might have socked Johnny J in the face. She does not deny it. I know.
I'm just like,
but can't we just say
against any gender is not okay? But I'm like, Shannon is like a small, weak ass little woman. He's like 6'3". I'm like, I'm not really concerned for his safety. They need to break up for sure. I'm not like, I don't think this is a smoking gun, this tape. I don't give a fuck about this tape.
Oh, Amy. Okay. Allegedly. Wait. It was already really bad when we just watched the crash. It's bad.
Of course, but that was the shocking, that was the wind in the sails, was the crash itself. I don't need secrets revealed, additional drunken violence footage.
If it shows though her okay, I'm not going to speculate on what I'm not going to speculate on what the tape will show. But you don't think there's anything
the same night? If it was like another incident where you're like, holy shit, this was happening all the time, but it's like, we already know how her night ended. It was one of the worst nights imaginable.
Okay. Allegedly,
you have a taste for blood. You want this tape.
I do not want this tape. I do not want this tape. I never want to see it. It'll be like the tape from The Ring. I don't want to see it. But I need it to be a part of the legacy of Shannon. I can't let that not be included as part of the reality of this situation. I know it's bad. I already forgave Shannon. Like you said, nothing on this videotape would make me ever say, Shannon, I will never watch you again. You're canceled. Because I already account it to being a drunken nightmare mess. I'm just saying it's bad, and it will add to the horrible behavior. And Johnny J is right if he witnessed what I think he witnessed to say, why the hell is this person disparaging my character? If you saw this tape, everyone would be absolutely horrified. So I just need to allow that is probably what this tape shows. And the reason why this 5 minutes tacked on at the end for no reason is so that when that video came out, we get Shannon's reaction to her, to what she did. Yeah. And we see that the cast members, no matter what is on that tape, just like you said, they're behind her. Heather even has a moment where she goes, I just don't understand, Shannon. You are such an amazing, wonderful person, and you're such a good mom. I could cry thinking about this right now. And then that's what leads them all to have that beautiful moment with Shannon at the end where they're hugging and kissing. And
I was watching that part with Jimmy, and he hasn't really watched this season. And he was like, oh, that's nice. Like, they're all being nice to her. They're all supporting her. And I was like, fucking finally. I was like, they ripped her to shreds all season for being, like, a drunk.
Well, but only Tamara did.
They were all pretty, like, they didn't want to go fully in support at the beginning.
Yeah. Shannon,
like, when she was actually going through it, they were kind of like, that was bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they
but only Tamara was the one who became the Shannon antagonist this season.
She kept it going the longest, but I feel like at the very beginning of the season, there was that dinner, and like everyone was kind of being a bitch. Like Emily was, even Heather was a little bit like questionable. I feel like Gina was, because she had been through it before, was the coolest. But it was a struggle to get, it wasn't like everyone was immediately kumbaya. Like, it took a long time, I think.
I remember it differently, to be honest. I remember everyone pretty much rallying around Shannon, and then when Tamara was the one who started to talk about it, I was like, oh, I'm shocked because someone is actually saying what a lot of the audience is thinking, that this was very bad what Shannon did.
I remember that dinner where Shannon storms off, and the only one that gets up to check on her is Jen.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe it took a little bit of time for them to warm up to what Shannon did. I will say Shannon handled a drunk driving scandal the best, I think, of any person in the world, especially someone on reality television. She really accounted for it. We saw that breathalyzer stuff in the car. She went to the legal stuff. She made amends. She talked about how horrific it was. So Shannon handled this all well. I'm not excusing Johnny J's extortionist, horrible behavior. I just want it to be presented into evidence that we don't know what's on this video, but I think that this was an attempt to set the record straight that everyone would defend Shannon no matter what was on that video if it did come out at the same time as this reunion.
Yeah, someone DM'd us saying that Shannon's blood alcohol was 0.24 the night of the DUI, and this person is watching Southern Charm season 6, and Craig just blew a 0.35 at the bar.
No way. 0.35. Shannon was 0.24. Shannon was, we said, you're entirely alcohol at that point. So that means Craig basically has alcohol coming out of his ears and eyes and nose,
Yeah,
right? Because it's
impressive.
even, yeah.
Did we want to touch on at all the Tamra and Shannon kumbaya at the end that was sort of facilitated by Andy? They just
Yes.
cannot resist.
Yeah,
getting back
it was,
together.
I, Andy goes, I've been looking at Tamra all night. He goes, she's been sending winks and different sort of eye movements towards Shannon, and I can't help but say I think this is one of the most beautiful friendships I've ever seen in my life. And Shannon goes, yeah, during that stuff where Johnny J was calling me a monster, I noticed that Tamra was winking at me and making empathetic eyes towards me, and she had her chance to say even more horrible shit about me, but she did not. And Shannon goes, well, and I have to thank you for that, Tamara. And she goes, can I hug you? And Tamara goes, yes, absolutely. They hug. And I just think, like we already kind of alluded to, I think Tamara got off so easy. And again, Tamara gets to rain fire upon everyone and raise hell throughout a season, and then come completely contrite and apologetic at the reunion, and then everything is forgiven because everyone just knows this is how Tamra behaves.
Totally. They showed the Trace Amigas hugging at the reunion clip, which, for a throwback, that was my Facebook banner at the time.
Really? Remind me what was going on, because I don't remember what had to happen to get them to have that iconic trio hug
I don't
again.
even remember either, but she said, was it Shannon that said it here, where she was like, I didn't want to hug those bitches then either.
Yeah, but yeah, I knew Tamara was taking it easy on Shannon, obviously, because that's just what she does. I think Andy facilitated something that I didn't need to happen because I don't trust Tamara's intentions, and I think that she went just full bore at Shannon the entire time. But yeah, she got forgiven, and I'm fine. You know, if Tamara really does want to change her behavior towards Shannon and wants her in her life again, then, you know, what can I do? But I just think that Tamara treats everybody so badly.
Totally. Oh my God. I also just remembered while I'm railing on Johnny J, when they showed the clips of Shannon defending him at that last reunion or whatever. Who is saying it? Is it Heather? They're like, when you called me telling me that he called you a fat pig. And then she's like, he tells me I'm pretty every morning.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
So only once in a while he lets out the that horrible comment, and then every
but yeah,
morning.
it was kind of crazy that Shannon was like not able to understand how much she went to the mat for him, like
Yeah,
how
it's
much
it's
cared for all of his future lovers.
oh, so what about Alexis and him?
Do you think they'll get married?
I think, you know what, if I'm being realistic, logical. I would say that they're still very clearly in the honeymoon stage and they don't know each other well enough, even though they think that they've searched into each other's souls and found their soulmate. I think, unfortunately, on that road to marriage, they're going to find some stuff that trips them up, and they'll learn the deep truths about each other and they will ultimately decide to go their separate ways. I don't
Yeah.
see this being a fairy tale ending for Alexis and Johnny J.
Yeah. And for that reason, do you think she's played her part? She doesn't need to come back?
I don't think so. Yes, great. Thank you for asking me that and respecting what my answer will be. Alexis only brought one thing to the table. She tried her best to do other things. I think they must have edited out a lot of garbage that Alexis was bringing. She just seems not adept at this format. I remember when she was fired, I said, thank God, no offense, but I never liked Alexis. Or, not never liked. I just didn't think she was very engaging or fun to watch.
Yeah.
And this did not dissuade me of that opinion. And I don't think, I personally don't think she should come back unless there was some huge thing that she had to bring to the table that wasn't Johnny J involved.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to decide. Do you think, at first I felt so bad for Shannon and was like, wow, this is like cruelty on behalf of Bravo. But because Shannon handled it so well, ultimately, I think it was worth it.
Yes. The entire way that they handled what Shannon was going through this season. I mean, Bravo has been accused of giving, villainous edits and not showing the full story, but I think Shannon, for the most part, got a very sympathetic edit from Bravo. I mean, was treated like a conquering hero by the end of this season.
Totally. And I think, like I said, the way that she handled the reunion, I'm like, she's like earned her spot as an all-timer because she like went through the fucking fire.
Yeah, it's time to start thinking about the top 10 Mount Rushmore of Housewives. And Shannon, this season, we might have to start etching her face into stone because I think she's underrated a little bit completely.
Yeah.
And this was unprecedented what she dealt with. So a great season for Shannon. Shannon, we are so proud of you. I'm sorry I talked about that video so much, Shannon, but you killed it this season. I'm always on your side, no matter what horrific things you do. And anything else you want to say before we close out this OC chapter and we say goodnight to our little turtle cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs?
I don't think so. Great season. I'll miss it. We should go to the Quiet Woman to honor this season.
Let's do that. You let me know when, and I will race over to Orange County. All right. Well, I'll just say, we say this every week. It gets probably kind of boring, but if you liked this commentary about the OC, Amy and I have a Patreon. It's the Turtle Time Patreon, where you can become a Villa Rosa VIP for $5 a month, and you get access to a complete huge archive of content from Amy and I, where we are recapping Vanderpump Rules from the very beginning. We are all the way towards the end of season 5, basically, and you have access to all of that for $5 a month. But please stick with us throughout the entire journey of this. And then also, if you need a gift for a Bravo fan in your life and you go, I don't know what to get anybody. There's too many options. Books, records, clothes. I just got to get them something Bravo related. Well, the Turtle Time merch store has you covered. It's on Etsy. And we have some beautiful merchandise for the Bravo fan in your life. And you can order it now and it'll get there right in time for Santa Claus to put it under your tree.
It's true. I vouch for our products.
Yes. And then lastly, please, please, please take some time right now. Once you turn this YouTube off, go to Apple Podcasts or YouTube or Spotify and give us a little bit of a review and say, I like this Turtle Time show. There's something of note and there's some merit here. Please share that opinion with the world so we get more listeners.
It's all we want for Christmas.
That would be so sweet. Well, Amy, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. TGIF energy here, right?
Yes, I'm doing the Glicked weekend, seeing Gladiator tomorrow. Already saw Wicked.
Oh my God. I can't wait to find out what that viral moment is in Gladiator 2 that is sending people also screaming and
Maybe
running around the theaters.
The rhino.
The huge rhino that comes out. Well, great. I'm going to have a Glicked weekend too, probably, when they all come out on VOD together in 1 year. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you all, Little Turtle Cuties and Villa Rosa VIPs. And you got 2 for 1 today. 2 episodes of Turtle Time. I hope that was fun to you all.
To quote Bethany, you're welcome.
Damn. All right. Well, goodbye.